I have to replace a part in a tool. The part is broken. This is the part that's broken here, little pin that engages in a cog. So I have to make it with plastic, and I'll show you the piece, the part. There's a pin here that's made to hold the spring. The part is under tension, and there's a pivot hole right here. So usually what I do when it's a small part, I do a sketch. Like I try to measure everything and do a sketch. But in this case, all I did was take a pen and just trace the part. Makes it easier to start. Let's go in the 3D software. Before we go in the 3D print software, the 3D modeling software, let's look at the part. So the part is made of a stick. So this part here that ends about here. So I have to make this rectangle shape. Then there's this part here, which is the pin that's broken itself, that goes like this. And over here, this is the pivot. The pivot, there's a hole in the part, and then there's kind of a round shape around it. So basically, I have kind of three parts to make: the stick, the pin itself, and the hole, and then little parts around. So let's look at that in the 3D software. I'm going to use Shapr3D for this sketch. So to start, what I need to do is do a rectangle to replace my part. So I'm going to go in Sketch and then choose the XY plane, and then just move this a bit to the left, and then do a rectangle. So my rectangle is about 5 by 28 millimeters. So 5 by 28, I'm doing it by hand like this for now. And that's my sketch. I can get out of sketch mode now. And then I have to do a circle that is touching this part here. So I'll go back in Sketch and do a circle. And my circle is 9 millimeter. I'll enter the value here, 9 millimeters. And that's about where it is. It touches this part. So it doesn't matter like exactly where it is. I can move it later. So the next part I have to do is where the pin actually is. And I'm going to use a spline to do that part. A spline is a series of dots that are linked together to form a shape. So I'm going to start here, and I add points. And as you can see, they curve as I go. I'm making the shape here pretty rough. And then I have to join this part to this part. And then I can go back, exit sketching, okay, go back. Take this line here, so I just click on it. I can move these points, so I can move this to make it rounder. I know that the actual part is rounder. I can move this a bit, move it a bit like this. So I'm just fine-tuning the shape here. And that's about what I need to do for now. Let me move this point a bit right here. I can change this button here, changes the angle. So that's more like the shape of the pin. This point doesn't really matter, but just because I can, I'm moving it. So I'm moving this point too. This is full. Okay, now one trick, I have to put an inner circle in this circle because there's a hole for a holding pin. So to do this, I have to be careful. I don't want to add a circle in this circle. I want to add it to the original plane. So I'm going to the top here, double clicking. It gives me a 3D kind of view of the part. I don't want to click this and make a circle. I'm going to go back to sketching first and choose the XY plane again. So my two circles are going to be independent. Although they have the same origin, they're independent. So I make a circle. I know that that dimension is 4.5 millimeters. So I have my second circle here. You'll see the use of it a bit later. While I'm here, okay, I'm getting out of the sketching. I want to correct this side here a bit. So I'm going to push that point about here. Okay, now let's look at it in 3D again. So this is a hole. This is solid, 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 solid. So I'm going to extrude all of those. The part is at this end here, and this is 5 millimeters thick. So I'm going to select. So I click the first part that I want to extrude, and then I press Shift and click the other parts that I want to extrude, and then I extrude. So 5 millimeters. I put 5 here. And as you can see, the hole stayed there because I didn't select it, but I selected everything else. Sorry. So the next part that I want to do is the piece that I'm replacing is actually thicker here because there's a spring that's going to push on this part. So I'm going to go and view it from the top again. And the other part starts about here. There's kind of a diagonal line. I don't know why it's diagonal, but I'm just doing what the original part is doing. So all I need is a line, and I'm going to put the line right here between this, whoops, the line. I'm going to put the line between this and about there. Okay, that's my sketch. So the interesting thing here, I'm getting out of the sketch. I'm going to do the 3D view again. I can select this part and extrude it another 5 millimeters. So it's the same basic sketch, but I created a sub-sketch by putting a diagonal line here. So the part that I'm replacing has kind of a square pin here that holds the spring. It could be round, but I'm just reproducing the original part. So I'm going to sketch on this surface. This is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to sketch. I'm going to select the surface first, and then I'm going to sketch. So I'm sketching on the surface that I just selected. I'm going to do a rectangle, and my rectangle is about 4 millimeters. So 4 millimeters. Oh, this is 0.5 millimeters, so I have to double this. So it's about here. And it's a square pin, about 4 millimeters by 4. So I can come back here and do 4, and can come back here and put 4. So that's the new part, the new shape I'm working with. So I'm getting out of sketching. I can do a 3D view again by double clicking the cube here, and I can select this part and stretch it to 4. Actually, it's 4 millimeters. Okay, so it's on this surface, but it was extruded 4 millimeters outside of this surface here. So that's my complete part. Now what I have to do is finish the part. So I'm going to add some rounded edges here and there. So basically I'm shifting the part. I want to look, whoops, I want to look at this side here. I'm going to select this edge and shift and select this edge. And then I'm going to fillet these two. So all I have to do is basically pull, and when they reach each other, they look like the original part. I don't really care what the dimension is here. It's 2.5 because that's 5 millimeters thick, but I just did it visually. So now I can do some edges on this part too. So I select the first edge, shift, click, shift, click, and shift, click. And I'm going to fillet these again. So they don't need to be fillet much, about 0.2 millimeter, just to say that it's easier to insert the spring because these edges are now rounded. So one thing I'm going to do right now to make this part much more solid, I'm going to select this edge, shift, click this edge, whoops, the edge, yeah, and then move a bit, select this edge here, and select this edge here, and I'm not going to fillet them, but to chamfer them. Chamfer about 0.6 millimeter. So this is a fillet, it's round. This is chamfer, that's straight line. So it makes an angle, and when you actually create the piece in your software, preparing it for the printer, this will add a lot of strength to that pin. So if we look at my part, it looks like the original part. It can be fine-tuned and all that, but it's ready to print. So now all I have to do is export it as an STL file. I'm exporting it as an STL file, ready to be sent to the printer software. After I made some adjustments to the part, I had to modify my sketch quite a bit. So this is the final version. This is what the part looks in 3D. As you can see, I had to add this part here, correct a bit the angle here, make the pin a little bit bigger, add this little bump point there to limit movement. But that's about it. The rest of it is pretty much original.